Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert, TGIF. We are back with the TED Show. I'm super excited to have my guest, Mark Stephen Pooler, is here. We're going to talk about how to be seen, heard, and get noticed. Come on, all of you know that that's a good thing, especially when you're talking about business. But definitely excited to have you on. Thanks, Mark, all the way from jolly old England. How are you?
Hi, Ted. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and thank you so much for inviting me onto your amazing show.
Kind words. Flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you very much for that. All right. So, my audience loves to know origin story. They want to know about you, your journey to get here. And then, of course, I want to take a deep dive into how to be seen, heard, and get noticed. I think I put in my thing that most of us really, it boils down to wanting to be heard. Whatever the issue is, it's that somebody didn't feel heard. And so I am fascinated by this topic, but enough about me. It's all on you. Tell us about you, Mark.
I'd love to. So, I come from a past of bullying, Ted, about the way I looked and about my sexuality at school before I knew my own sexuality. So, every day, big chin, big ears, gay, and that was really hard through my childhood. It led to me having really low self esteem and low self confidence. So I left school with really bad grades because I started to play up at school to make people laugh, to calm down the bullying. So my education suffered. By the age of 15, I started drug taking, and it started on softer drugs to start with. I did start hairdressing as a career, which was great. It built my confidence. It really helped me to learn business skills and dealing with the public. But my party lifestyle became out of control. By the age of 21, my life had spiraled out of control and I was addicted to crack cocaine and heroin. I went out on a party night out with friends, tried a new clubbing drug, having the time of my life 1 minute, and the next minute I woke up in hospital. I just collapsed and died. Bruises all up my arms where adrenaline had been pumped into me, a shaven chest where they had brought me back to life. I was living a bad life, it was going nowhere, Ted, and that was a wake up call. I slowly started to rebuild my life. I give up crack cocaine and heroin straight away just by using the power of my mind, the power of thought. I didn't see a doctor. I didn't use substitute drugs. It was a slow road to recovery, and that's why it's so important to think about the thoughts that you're putting into your mind, because your thoughts do create your reality. So by the age of 30, I had started to grow up by then, and I had enough of working for other people in hairdressing, making lots of money for them and not making a lot of money for myself. So I left a paid job, having a mortgage, and set up as a freelance hairstylist. This was around 5 years ago, Ted. A year into my hairdressing business, I started network marketing, which was again another milestone moment. It opened me up to the world of personal development and self improvement. I built a team of 50, recruited into 6 different countries,
Wow.
but I wasn't following my passion. I used to watch the speakers on stage sharing their message at network marketing events, and I thought I have an amazing story to inspire others. So again, I did another pivot and I left network marketing 3 years ago and jumped in the deep end to become a professional speaker. I spoke all over the UK, really grafted. I didn't make a penny. I was just building my profile and my name. and I published two books. One of them become a bestseller, Step Into Your Brilliance. It made #1 in the UK, USA, and Canada. And then I was interviewed on a USA radio network similar to like today. And after they interviewed me, they asked if I would like to be a co host of the radio show. So I said yes. This was 2 years ago, Ted,
Wow.
and it just threw me in a new direction, what I'm really passionate about and what I do today. So today I'm a fun-loving and focused PR expert, and I support high-profile, high-value individuals to be seen, heard and get noticed with worldwide digital media.
Thank you for sharing that journey. I didn't know that part, so that is one of the things I like to not do, is do too much research. So I'm just as in awe as the audience is at the moment. It is a big. I have a background in addiction, a master's degree in a similar area, and so I know what you're talking about. That is a dark place, and for you to pull yourself out, that takes a strong mind. That takes the detox alone from the drugs that you were addicted to is can be death. It can be really bad. And so I'm so happy to hear that you were able to figure that out. I think people would want to know, all right, I need that secret because I'm not dealing with what he's dealing with, but wow, I want to figure out how I can focus so strongly on something or some things that I'm able to accomplish them.
So, firstly, I'd like to say I mentioned I use the power of my mind and thought. The particular drugs I'm talking about, they're strong drugs to get off. So, I would always advise, if there is anyone struggling out there, see medical assistance. So I
Yeah.
said I didn't see a doctor, but that is what they are there for, and that you should never be ashamed of that. But I truly believe everything starts with a mindset. I read my first Law of Attraction book at the age of 21 before The Secret movie. And then I read it again at a later date, the actual Secret movie and book. Everything starts with mindset. Once you get powerful belief systems, it leads to making better choices, and with repetition over time, taking little daily steps, you can create a whole new reality. And that's why I know this works, because I was such a huge fan of The Secret book and The Secret movie, and I have interviewed nearly all the cast of the movie. I've
Wow.
published media for many of the big names out of the movie as well. So it's like I have attracted those people that I was a big fan of. And that is just me really knowing that I have manifested that through the power of thought. But I would say everything does start with mindset, but you have to take big action as well. Once you get the mindset, you do have to take action to get the results. And don't be in a rush, because my journey has been a slow process. I started entrepreneurship 5 years ago thinking, oh, I'll be on a six-figure salary in 6 months, living my dream.
Living the
I
dream.
I only retired from hairdressing, and I do media and PR full time now, January. So it took me a good 4 years of working really hard to that end destination. So don't see a quick fix. Go with a long term vision, work on mindset, and also take little steps every day.
That is so important for you to say, because I think people, we talked about this on a show recently. You have to kind of know where you're at in the journey versus where, say, Mark is at or where Ted is at. So you can't judge yourself based on where Mark happens to be in his journey. If you're just starting out and you haven't made any kind of steps, people get overwhelmed, I think, by the steps. And I always tell them, it's just, if even if it's one step a day, if you can handle it, whatever that small step is, and you still make progress, but you have to be disciplined, and you have to know that that's part of what you need to do every day is move forward. But don't compare yourself to where Mark's at right now, because he's been in it for a very long journey, like he said. I think we have a lot of questions about people want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to get noticed, but they don't know how to do it without seeming egotistical, self-absorbed. They want to try to figure out a way to do it that is positive and reflective of their values and their purpose and impactful. That's not easy. So for a lot of people. So what are some steps, or what are some things that people should start to evaluate if they really do want to up their game in those arenas?
The world of digital media, especially through this pandemic, Ted, everyone is online. So it's really important to be seen and visible online. Also, when you are written about in articles, it gives you instant written credibility because people do believe what they read. So I would say a great starting point is doing radio interviews like we're doing today, podcasts as well. And things like this you can do alone, but it is sometimes difficult to get those opportunities. With the media I do, it's guaranteed. I get you on all the platforms and it's guaranteed, and I do all that for you. So it's a lot simpler process. So I would say building your profile, getting exposure, credibility, authority is really, really important. Doing it through written credibility articles. Now, the platforms I publish to, they all have big amounts of readership, so you do get that exposure. Also, radio interviews are really, really valuable, and also press releases are very, very good, especially for the Google footprint and searchability. What they give you, they're really, really valuable. I would say to people, don't second guess that you aren't PR ready. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not ready for PR. If you have a few simple things in place, like a short and long bio, professional photos are really important. Also, having a functioning website is a great step as well, and it is quite important because that is featured on the articles and in publications. So you want a good website, and you have either a great message or story, you are launching something, or you have a product or a service, you are ready for PR. So don't second guess yourself. As long as those small things are in place, I can definitely support you to get seen, noticed and heard.
So lots of things I take away from that. The one thing I want to point out is you mentioned action earlier. Um, I want to encourage people, you can read as many articles as you want. You can build the most amazing profile. But what Mark is not saying is that you can't just stop there. That is too passive. You want to build that as part of your foundation, but everything Mark said has an action. There's an engagement. There is an action verb, a step that you physically take. I know people who are addicted to self-help books and webinars and things, and yet they never implement any of the things that they learn. And so they can't figure out why they keep going to these things and nothing's happening. And what you're telling people, which is so critical, is that you have to have an action step. There has to be an action plan. You have to take physical action. You just can't sit back and go, I've got the most beautiful profile on LinkedIn. Why isn't anybody reaching me? Well, if you're not engaging with your audience, if you're not putting it out there, if you're not putting press releases out so that Google can capture that, then you're missing out. And I think that's one of the strongest messages I got from what you said.
That's actually a great point, Ted. It should be part of your marketing plan. Another great point, you need to really improve your sales skills. The reason I didn't have results in the beginning of my journey, I didn't have a great product or service, or I didn't have the total belief in that product or service. I didn't have great sales skills. This is really, really important. Also, you want to get your social media and profile great. Marketing is really important. But what press does, it gives you exposure. It builds your credibility, authority, which leads to people trusting you, which in time will attract clients.
So important. One of the that we before we went live, I said to Mark, which I tell every guest this: we're going to share origin story because they have to know you and like you and believe you before they're going to hear your message. And it's just so critical with that engagement. I have people that reach out to me on, I'll use LinkedIn for example, and because I have a lot of contacts and a lot of engagement, they want to connect with me, but then they don't send anything personal. I don't know why they want to connect. And if anybody who takes that little extra step and says, "Hey, Ted, I liked your profile. I'd like to figure out how we can collaborate," those people get answers all day long. Why? They didn't just do something passive by hitting a button to connect. They thought through it. They thought about their plan and they reached out and they engaged. And that's taking a step, guys. That is something positive. You're reaching out, you're doing it. So, Mark's, I think what you're saying is 1000% right on the money.
I agree with your points too, Ted. It's really important to come from integrity and build relationships, because when you build relationships, it opens up opportunities and doors that weren't there before. So your points are very, very valid.
And then the herd part, we talked a little bit before we went live on that. Um, I had several people tell me, herd is the thing that they are missing most. People don't feel heard. And this is for business, obviously, too, but also personal, which kind of all runs together. A lot of people want to be heard and they don't know how to be heard. Their way of being heard is not working. And so they don't know if they need to be more assertive, less aggressive, and a lot of people, because of the ego fears, they don't want to appear egocentric. They don't know how to put the message out there to be heard. What can you tell them? What the people who are like, I don't want to be that jerk I see all the time, who always, you can tell he wants to be the center of attention 24/7.
I think that is a great question. I would say your messaging is so important. So in the beginning, when you're building your brand and getting your products and services the way you're going to show up online, there are certain things that you want to be clear on. For example, when I said to you, I'm a fun loving, focused PR expert, I support high profile, high value individuals to be seen, heard, and get noticed with worldwide digital media. This is part of my messaging. It grounds me because it tells me in an instant exactly who I am, who I help, and what I do. Little things like this are really, really important to build your own confidence in your messaging. So messaging is so important. But I also think communication skills are very, very important. Learning the art of communication, networking, and sales, because most people get it wrong, and that's why they struggle with what they're doing. And also, when you are showing up online, when you are having written credibility, especially when you're doing lives on interviews or when you're doing presentations, your words really, really matter. What's coming out of your mouth is really, really important. And that's why it's important that you have great communication skills and you really do think careful about the words that you're choosing, because You only get one opportunity to make a first impression, Ted.
So true. So many nuggets I got, Mark. And so tell them, we have lots of questions from all over the platforms, but Mark and I will both address those, I promise, personally. What's the best way for somebody to reach you if they want to learn more about your program and what you do and your offerings and how they can be seen, heard, and get noticed?
So, if anyone would like a consultation, it's really simple process. We'll have a coffee over Zoom. Just go to www.contactmark.me. That's www.contactmark.me. Schedule a meeting and we'll have a Zoom coffee together. And also, my social media platforms are there too.
Fantastic. That was awesome, Mark. Thank you so much for being on the show and for all you do. Words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing your journey. So important for people to hear that you can overcome obstacles wherever you're at. And I agree, mindset's everything. That was amazing. Thanks for being on the show, Mark.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I love your show. I love all your brand and even the way you dress, Ted. It's very stylish. I'm liking that.
Thank
So
you. Thank
thank
you.
thank you for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed it.
I appreciate it so much. I hope you come back. All right, guys, reach out to Mark. Contactmark.me is his website.